So step number one, the mental shift. You've entered into really a world that's different from those people around you who maybe have no desire or interest to lose weight or become healthier. So during this step, it would be wise to keep your own counsel, as all of a sudden everybody that knows you're trying to lose weight becomes a weight loss expert and starts telling you what you should be doing and how you should be doing it. So I would only confide in those people who are either cheerleaders and will support you. If you're working with a professional, confide in them, but definitely avoid any sort of saboteurs or hecklers during this phase, because all they will do is basically drain you of energy and stop you from moving to the next level. Step two, learning and practicing the basics. Now, you already have some good knowledge. You'll have experience of certain diets you've tried in the past. You'll no doubt have some experience about various exercise programs you've done. And I'm sure you'd have had some good goals in the past as to why you started off wanting to lose weight. So this step really is about combining all of those three elements together on a really basic level to give you some traction so you can then move forward to the next level. So don't treat this as a going all the way back to scratch because you don't know anything. It really is about calling upon what you do know and combining it all together in preparation for moving on to the next step. Step three, self-belief. So this will be a natural progression from the previous step, learning and practicing the basics. And providing you've been consistent during that first phase, which is typically about 6 weeks, step three is around about 12 weeks in terms of time frame. You're going to find that your level of belief has gone up because you would have seen your weight come down. And when you see your weight coming down, as a result of you taking control of your mindset, your eating and your exercise, it's going to be an automatic launch platform onto the next step. Step number four, accepting the challenge. Now this is a point where most people tend to give up. It's around about week 18. What do I mean by about accepting the challenge? Well, everyone's going to have a different type of personal challenge. For some people, it may be something like you've never ever, for as long as you can remember, ever been fit. You weren't fit as a child, as a teenager, as a young adult. So you've got no real reference point. So your challenge is going to be more psychological. It's going to be in your head because you've never done something before. It might be to do with behavior around certain people. When you get into a certain company, they expect you to eat and drink and behave in a certain way. So that could be the challenge. Or it may be to do with your work. Maybe that your work is a type of job where you are on the road regularly, maybe have to stay overnight regularly in hotels. So you're going to have to work out how you're going to get around that. But the first thing you've got to do is accept that what's going on right now is happening and it's real. You've got to accept it's your challenge. Then once you accept it, we can happily move you on to the next step. But the first part is accepting your reality as it is. And once it's accepted, we can do something about it. Step number five, overcoming the challenge. This step will take some real emotional strength and support to overcome. Because what generally tends to happen here around about week 24 is there'll be that sort of, I say constant pull, but there'll be that pull taking you back to old habits, things that you've always done in the past. And what you need to understand is when you feel that sensation to go back into old habits, it's perfectly normal. It's natural. It happens to everybody. So you're not unique in that regard. It's just par for the course. But once you're able to break through this step, you're not completely home and dry, but things do start to become a whole lot easier. So overcoming the challenge is more about mental resilience, focusing on what you want long term, and breaking through this particular step, which normally occurs around about week 24. Step number 6, lifestyle on automatic pilot, the promised land. Well, not entirely. While this step represents things become more automatic, a little bit like driving a car or brushing your teeth. If you had to think about every single action you had to perform when you drove your car, you probably wouldn't be driving for that long. So you know that when you get in your car now, you can perform lots of different functions, pretty much on automatic pilot, but you still have to pay attention to what's happening in around you. You can't just completely expect to be on automatic pilot. But I think a really good example of this is, you may have experienced this, you've set off in your car, you've arrived at a destination, maybe several miles away, you've gone through a number of traffic lights, and you actually can't recall the journey. which can be a little bit frightening. But that's what this stage represents, doing things on a more automatic sort of level. And what you'll find during this phase is your thinking will be a lot calmer, you'll be a lot more relaxed and organized around food, and you'll find that your activity is planned and it's taken more consistently. And this generally occurs around about week 30. Step number 7, the role model. And the feedback from our clients never ceases to amaze me and surprise me, when they reach this stage. Suddenly, family, friends, work colleagues start to treat you as the go-to expert. All things to do with weight loss, suddenly you become the go-to person for it. They usually want to hear about the one specific thing that you did that made it all happen. And the reality is, it's never one thing. You may have been inspired by one particular thing, but the results are related entirely down to you following a straightforward process, putting in the work and being consistent, and that is how you become the role model. And this will generally occur around about week 36, and that's irrespective of whether you've hit your final end goal or not. The mere fact of how you're living your life at this point will be a role model for a lot of people to follow. Step number 8, stability. So now all the dust has settled, the compliments have stopped, and wait for it, you're possibly a few pounds heavier than what you were at your lightest weight. Shock horror. Well, during this step, you have to learn to get used to the fact that your weight is going to fluctuate between your lowest weight and your agreed heaviest weight. Now, depending upon your total weight loss, this could be between 8 pounds and 14 pounds. And I know that 14 pounds may sound like a lot, but let's just say you've lost 8 stone in weight. That's 112 pounds. And if you can keep off 98 pounds of those 112 pounds over a 12-month period, I think you've done pretty well, as you'll still be learning how to stabilize your new habits after that initial 12 months of going through a weight loss phase. So during this phase, it really is about learning to get used to your body, how it operates, and not pressing the panic button because you've gained a few pounds from where you're at your lowest. Step number 9, body confidence and control. So you've now got to a level where attending events is no longer a big deal. If an event comes up on the calendar, you're no longer worried about how you're going to look, how you'll feel, and how people are going to be looking at you. That's a thing in the distant past. Undertaking physical activities that in the past you may not have even entertained, you're now happy to have a go at a whole multitude of different things. And your self-belief in yourself generally is now an all-time high. It's not going to stay at an all-time high all the time. You're going to have times when you do doubt yourself a little bit. That's just normal human behavior. But you're going to be in a far better position once you reach this stage. Why? Because you've now got control of how you think, you've got better control over your eating habits, and you've got better control and consistency over your exercise habits. For more information about how we could help you, visit our website www.cmstrim.co.uk, and we look forward to hearing from you. Bye for now.